Hello, welcome back to session 2 of our mini watercolor basic series. In this session, we're going to learn how to set up our palette. We're going to make a color map of our palette, and we're going to talk about color charts, how valuable they are, and how to create one from a few of the colors that you're going to select out of your palette. Let's get started. You have all your supplies. Now, what are you going to do? What are you supposed to do with all those supplies? Okay? The first thing you're going to do is to make a color, I call it a color map, a color chart, a swatch chart, whatever you want to call it, of your particular chosen set of colors. Here is the Van Gogh colors. So this is the chart that I have, and as you can see, it lays the colors out exactly how they are in your palette. Because like when you got over here in this area, right, you wouldn't know really what you had. You really wouldn't know what these darker colors were if you didn't make this chart, you know, of these colors. Okay, so that is a quick ready reference and one of the first things that you do when you get your palettes. So here are, okay, this is one of the palettes that I made with tube watercolors. Okay, I made this palette with the tubes, and I just, you know, put some of the paint in the palettes there in each of the little wells. I did mine in clearly rainbow, Roy G. Biv rainbow order. Okay, so if you got tubes, you're going to need a plastic palette like this, or you don't need a palette. You could get a ceramic palette, whatever you find to put your paints in. Okay, but you're going to need something that has wells to store your paint in. If you have your pans, you're ready to go. You just need to draw out the layout of your palette on watercolor paper, and we need to, then just go from there. So you either need to put your tubes in here like this, and then create your palette, which is what this is. This is the top row of this. I have two of these. I have my rainbow order brighter colors here, and then I've got my more earthy, and then just some extra colors because I hate having empty wells in a palette. It's just the way I am. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to need. You're going to need a brush, you're going to need water, you're going to need a piece of paper like this, piece of watercolor paper. Let me move this out of the way. The palette that I'm going to swatch so that you guys can see how I do it is this one. Now, this is not a traditional watercolor palette. This is water-soluble graphite, but I need a color map of these colors because I have no way, looking at these, I don't know what, what they are. So this is the one that I'm going to be making. You can watch me as I make this and then go make your own, or make it right along with me. I will tell you this, I'm going to speed this video up as I do this, but I'll work a couple without speeding it up so you can see what I'm doing. So what I have here is I have a square for every, pan of color that I have. I have written the name. These have beautiful names, Autumn Brown and Russet and Meadow. These are by Derwent. They're a totally different beast altogether. They're really not, they're water soluble, but they're not like watercolor. You can erase these, and so I just want y'all to see how to do this. Your colors are going to be bright and vibrant like this. These are going to be very muted, which I know I like muted colors anyway. But if you'll notice, I have a black line going through each of those squares. So what I have that line there for is because I want to see how transparent these paints are. Just like here, you want to see how transparent your paints are. That's something that's pretty important to know. Let's say you're going to paint petals that you want to overlap one another, and you want to be able to see each just beautiful layer, you're going to know how transparent that color is when you lay it down. Like if you lay down, a beautiful transparent mauve, and then you go and throw, I don't know, even white on the top, or I don't know, cadmium red, or something that's a little bit more opaque than that, that's not the result that you're looking for if you're trying to show transparent layers. You probably want to start with the one that is the most opaque or semi-transparent, and then put the mauve on top instead of vice versa. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. Oh, one more thing. This is pretty concentrated color up at the top, and then I put water and I pull it down. I made these purposefully this long so I could see how this pigment disperses in the water. These, my squares are not as big because it needs to fit in here, but I'm going to try and do the same thing here with this. So just watch what I do, and then we're going to speed up this video because there's really no reason to do this in real time with me. This is pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, spray some water. Spray some water on my palette. So I'm going to go first with autumn brown. All right. All right. These are also not as easy to wake up as a regular watercolors are. But here we go. Oh, look at that. Like I said, this is water-soluble graphite. These are like liquid colored pencils. They're really cool. Let's see, I do want to go ahead and go over that line and see how transparent. So you see I lost that black line completely. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some water to see how it disperses. And this is just breaking up into beautiful little pinks, and it's very granulating. Ooh, that's so pretty. Okay, clean your brush off. I'm going to go back to my bottle old faithful water bottle there. All right, this one is called Russet. Russet, what does that look like? Oh, see, these are super muted, okay? And again, make me very happy. I like muted colors. Look at that. See, that one doesn't really want to play very well in the water like that one did. And see, that's another thing that you find out as you're working through these. You're like, okay, well, that doesn't disperse very well. So I probably wouldn't, there's certain techniques I probably wouldn't use that for. Okay, so here is my color map for this set of colors, and I have to say, they're pretty awesome. I mean, these colors are just, okay, I'm just going to say this. Okay, this is called granulation, and I'm going to move this up to the camera to see if this is even going to show. My colors are still really wet, but this is aubergine, this one right here. And I don't know if you can even see, you probably can't, but it's starting to just granulate. These colors are starting to separate and settle down into the ridges of this paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost all of them do it. Russet, not so much. And I was pretty excited about just the name of that color. But that one really doesn't do it very much. But anyway, so you should look, once you do yours, yours will probably look more like this. You can see granulating, granulating, granulating. Ultramarine's usually pretty granulating. You can't, I can see it, but you wouldn't be able to see it. But see, like permanent rose and alizarin crimson, those will give you really nice, you know, really nice, even washes. Dioxazine purple in my group probably, in my palette probably would also. But like these granulating colors, like I love using granulating colors on rocks and things because they create texture. Watercolor, you know, it has a mind of its own and it wants to do its own thing, you know? It doesn't just want to go where you put it. It wants to, I think I said this in the last video, but it wants to have a conversation with you. It wants to push back at you. You have to be very very much okay with what happens with watercolor. You know, you react to it and you work along beside it instead of like acrylic where you put your paint where you want it to go. If you don't like it, you can paint right over the top of it with another color, and you know, it just is what it is. With the watercolor, you have to really work with it. You have to have a partnership with it. It's such a lovely medium. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Enough of me talking about that. Oh, yeah, and see, like, I just set this down in there. Oh, well, that's all right. I still know what colors I have. It's all good. See, there it is. So that's another thing you need to do. You should pay attention. Not like me. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do, and I'm going to pause the video for a minute because I want to get some things together, but I want to show you how to make a color chart.